What's something your employer did that instantly killed employee morale? One of our senior employees asked for a raise because it had been a few years since he had had one, and he was doing a great job. Management reviewed his file, realized they could pay one of the new guys half of the salary of experienced guy, fired senior guy, promoted junior dude. They weren't aware of the warehouse dynamic and soon found out that no one liked or wanted to work for or with junior guy. Morale dropped a lot. A week later, senior guy committed suicide. Once the warehouse was informed/invited to the funeral, morale really dropped, and eventually junior guy became so ineffective trying to run the shop that he was fired, and the next senior guy just kind of took over without management doing anything about it. Everything began to run as it had before senior guy was fired. Holy shit. This is why most developed countries have unfair dismissal laws. Is this not a thing in America? I've heard, as one example, that gay Americans can get married on Saturday and fired on Monday, and there's no law against that. I had assumed this was because gay people aren't a protected class, at least that's how we'd put it in Canada, where they are. In general, can you fire people just because in America, or is it not so easy? No raises or bonuses this year due to company performance, but I will make it up to you by taking the whole company to the lake for a trip on my new 30-foot boat. Business had been running for 3 years and many of the employees had been there from the beginning without getting a pay rise. After some requests, the company announced that there would be a review of everyone's pay, called in each worker to discuss. Basically, they had decided to pay every employee the same amount. This meant that a few got a raise, most stayed the same, and some, who had negotiated better at hiring, had their wages reduced. Needless to say, most employees were unhappy. 2 weeks later, the three brothers who owned the business bought themselves 2 new cars and a second-hand Rolls Royce. That was a real slap in the face. The harder you work, the better a vacation your boss gets. They make $1, I make a dime. That's why I poop on company time. Large factory, not unionized. Each department clocks in at a different place, mainly that department's break room. My department clocked in across the facility from the main entrance, which meant it took about 15 minutes to walk from the front door to where you clocked in and out at, and another 5 to walk from that entrance to the parking lot. There was a side exit that we would use, however, that literally cut that walk down from 20 minutes to 3, since our department was right next to the parking lot. Management decided that all employees must enter and exit through the same door, which meant we had to walk all the way down to the main entrance and then back around to our cars. There was so much rebellion from the employees in our department that they had to bar the door shut with 2 X4s. Jokes on them, even unionized employees can be a pain in the ass. We contacted the fire marshal, who upon seeing a fire exit barricaded, fined the company $8,000. We still were not allowed to enter through this door, but they stopped trying to stop us. Jesus, do you work at Auschwitz? Who barricades their own employees from exiting a door? Harris and Blank, owners of the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory. Many years ago, when I worked for everyone's favorite big box store, Walmart, they tried to tell us employees who worked in the automotive department that we all had to use the main front door to enter/exit the building when going to work, leaving work, going out on break/lunch, and returning from break/lunch. The reason this was met with heavy opposition was because a department had a public door leading out into the automotive parking lot where we were all allowed to park, a certain distance away of course, in order to leave the closer spots for customers, which is fine. I argued that when I was coming in to start my shift, I wasn't currently clocked in on company time, and I'd use any goddamn public door I wanted. Same for break and lunch. That's my time, and I'll use whatever door I want. Everyone else did this as well, so nothing ever happened. Company just sucked it up and fucked off. It just blows my mind that this sort of shit happens at so many places. What's so hard about just being decent employers and treating people with a bit of dignity? To cut costs, they started a policy that only certain departments had internet access. It basically started a class system that bred resentment across departments and caused an exodus from the non-internet teams. The internet. I have heard tales told of this precious and rare commodity, but if you ask me, they're just legends made up to pass the time and fill the children with awe and wonder. I hear tell they got some out California way. I worked for a concierge company owned and run by a crazy lady. We had contracts with buildings and she'd routinely lose the contracts by taking meetings with them and then acting crazy. She was actually banned from one of the buildings that we still had a contract with. Anyways, I worked at a building with about 4 other people. We were basically security guards checking in guests all day and we didn't make much money. After hiring this shitty employee who basically wouldn't do his job and instead surfed the internet right in front of the guests, rather than firing said shitty employee, they took away our internet access. This made employee performance worse as now everyone had to stare down at their cell phones instead of straight ahead at the computer. Even I would occasionally get caught staring at my phone instead of the guest in front of me. Some people are quiet as hell, so then they banged our phones. Which, banning someone's phone basically just means that whenever a supervisor is present, which was about 5 minutes per day, nobody was on their phones, and the rest of the time it was phone city all day every day. This was like a month-long battle and most of the 5-person team we started with ended up quitting. Guess who the one dude that didn't quit was? Original shitty employee who I know continued to ignore guests and stare at his phone because I stayed friends with some people in the building and would stop by from time to time, always catching original shitty employee staring down at his phone. My boss is looking to retire in the next 3 to 4 years. He told everyone that he wanted us to come up our visions for the company and its future over the next 5, 10, 20 years. We are a small office of about a half dozen people, but we've been growing, and so everyone brought up growth projections and succession planning once he retires, etc. His son is the heir apparent and has a precocious 8-year-old, so in my 20-year version I even included the grandson joining the business and grooming it to become a legacy company. My boss went last, and we were expecting something acknowledging some of our thoughts or at least an expression of appreciation that the company he founded would live on well past his retirement, be in good hands, etc. Instead it was brutal and short. It was something along the lines of I do everything around here anyway, so I should just sell the company to fund my retirement and you can all find other companies to work for in a few years. Mood killed. Meeting ended. Everyone quits that same year and he can start his retirement early. Yeah, why? In a company of 6 people, owner said in a meeting with everyone that his 2 sales guys are irreplaceable and that the rest of us are just paper pushers. He now runs a company of 3 people. Sales guys put maybe 20 minutes into one deal, then operations puts days into logistics, payment, paperwork, claims, etc. We also just purchased an office building for $1 million plus, so if we leave and sales can't sell, this place will most definitely end up deep in bankruptcy. I'd hate to see that happen. But it's not the first time we've been informed that we are scum and just suck up company money while the sales guys are the ones making the profits. Try working in it. That attitude is just the standard state of being. It's a job where, if you work absolutely perfectly, you're totally invisible and only appear on the radar when something fucks up. Just a few weeks ago we did a major office move. My department worked back-to-back 12 to 18 hour days to get everything moved over, which we managed with less half a day's downtime, and we were moving the company's main data center. By the end of the final weekend, after carrying 30 plus servers, plus cabs, up 4 stories, recabling 200 plus desks and literally moving trucks worth of gear, I got home. and my legs just wouldn't work anymore. I still have the blisters on my feet from walking about 30 miles in 2 days, and I was still at my desk at 7 AM the next day to run around the office fixing teething issues. Then, a few days ago the country chief got the whole office together to thank everyone for their hard work. He had a stack of envelopes with thank you card £50 vouchers in them. Everyone who volunteered to help with the move got one, including the people who volunteered to have an early snoop around the new office, spent 30 minutes on site, and did precisely fuck all. You know who didn't get a mention, or an envelope? Anyone in it. The people who were there working, and paid overtime until 2 AM for weeks. We were once in the middle of a very stressful period of work, and everyone was feeling it. However, one afternoon, an offhand comment turned into a conversation that we all got involved with and led to a few laughs. My manager, returning from a meeting, piped up, "Oh, we've finished tomorrow's work, have we? What's all this about? Insert subject matter." Entire team instantly deflated. Unnecessary. Every employee needs time to blow off a little steam. SHT like that kills me. I was an engineering intern at a factory owned by a German company, but located in the US South. It happened to be the summer of the World Cup and US Germany were playing on like a Thursday. The factory had engineers, fabricators, and line workers. The engineers worked on long-term timelines, but the fabricators and the line workers had weekly quotas. In general, the line outperformed quota. They were based on orders and the line could outpace the orders if needed. So normally the line reached the weekly quota by sometime late Thursday or early Friday. The engineering interns brought up that we wanted to watch part of the game during our lunch break on the big projector in one of the conference rooms. The hour guy in charge of scheduling the room ran with the idea and ordered pizza for the entire factory to sit and watch the game. Thursday comes and the line is on pace to finish quota that afternoon, so had Friday to work extra/cut off early. The whole factory staff shows up to watch the game, eat food, and relax for a bit. Morale is high as a bunch of East Tennessee folk are hooting and hollering over a soccer match of all things. Out of nowhere the plant manager strolls by and says, "I thought we were here to work." Room was empty in about 100 seconds. The interns were all pissed and hid in the warehouse watching the second half on one of our phones. Fuck that guy. Edit. It's not VW, BMW, or Mercedes. Some people have gotten close though. Edit 2. It's also not Bosch, but some people in the comments have gotten it correct.